Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast, and today we have a Best-of-5 Faction War series between the Space Marines and the Forces of Chaos. Our first player is going to be Overtly Gemerous, playing as the Apothecary, this Space Marine healing commander with a targeted heal and a passive health regeneration aura. Next up, it's going to be LocalghostUrOrders, playing as the Force Commander, tanky melee hero, disrupting and buffing with Battlecry. And finally, it's going to be Katla, usually playing the Force Commander, but this time playing as the Tech Marine, the shooty ranged hero with a gun for every occasion and the ability to repair vehicles. Their opponents on the Chaos side, we are going to start out with MiltonLAsober, quite a mouthful of a name, playing as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. This is a spellcasting and battlefield manipulation hero. And then we are going to have a pair of Plague Champions. These are some ranged heroes to start out. Can get melee weapons, can also heal and repair. First one will be played by Alpha Omega, and then it's going to be AOG playing as the second one. So, we resume the Eternal War here between the Space Marines and the Forces of Chaos. Definitely some new names I'm seeing on the Chaos side. Not familiar with either AOG or MiltonLAsober. The names on our Space Marine side, definitely some names that these days see all around. Katla, pretty much, as far as I can tell, seems to be a dedicated Space Marine player. Often seeing her in the Faction Wars, usually on the Force Commander, but now showing off a little bit of Tech Marine. And Overtly Gemerous, well known for his Apothecary, and in particular his unwillingness to buy any units until Tier 3, aside from that starting Tactical Marine purchase. We'll see if that changes. Maybe, maybe not. And while I'm droning on about things, looks like a Scout Squad was already lost for Katla. We're going to see the Tzeentch worship initiated by Milton right here. Now, ideally, okay, he's going to go in for melee, I suppose, with the Sorcerer. I was thinking that he would consume one of the Heretic models, shoot out a Doom Bolts, just do some large amount of burst damage to that Apothecary, try to follow up with the Chaos Space Marines. Looks like there wouldn't even be a heal ready. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a mismanagement there. I don't even think the retreat from the Sorcerer was that necessary. And at the moment, the victory point also not being captured. Yeah, I think Milton's going to have to back off from this one. But meanwhile, on this side, Scout's going to be pulling back, as it looks like the victory point, natural victory point taken for Chaos. Plague Champion nearly going down, but managed to get away. And these Scouts actually being quite annoying with this backcapping. I don't know if they'll be able to finish this. They'll move back before they finish it, but they'll also lose a model in the process. Meanwhile, it looks like the Sorcerer is still fighting up against... Well, the Sorcerer is actually not even here. It's just the Chaos Space Marines as well as the Heretics. And it doesn't look like they're going to be winning this engagement, especially, yeah, at this point, the Chaos Space Marines just have to go. They're upgrading to Eternal War. Some Chaos Space Marines as well as some Heretics with grenade launchers will be here, but also forced off quite quickly, as we are seeing that Power Sword Force Commander tie them up. This Power Sword Force Commander, I always find it interesting when I see this. It often excites me somewhat. There are a lot of times when you'll definitely see Force Commander players forego the Power Sword in favor of getting the Thunderhammer or the Power Fist later on. But I think you particularly see it more often either in Space Marine mirrors or in Space Marine versus Chaos matchups, and then by extension, I guess it would be reasonable to assume that it would be a decent choice if you're playing against the Ordo Malleus, basically giving you that extra damage. Technically, it's extra damage no matter what against all targets, because 50 power melee DPS is an increase over the, I believe, 39 of the starting Chainsword. But, of course, that power melee damage is going to be doing bonus damage to any units with heavy armor. And we're going to see a fully upgraded Force Commander, choosing to get the Iron Halo as well as the Armor of Alacrity. Wanted to say Artificer Armor because it's just so typical, but this will make him a little bit speedier. Anyway, Space Marine's getting off a pretty nice generator bash over here. That Iron Halo Force Commander also succeeding in getting the decap. Yeah, this is a pretty good push by our Space Marine players at the moment. Should be a full power bash, but the death by the Force Commander is a little surprising and certainly unnecessary right here. I think there was plenty of time to get him out of there. Might have just had his attention elsewhere. And Space Marines are now overstaying their welcome. We're going to see Attack Squad go down. Very, very surprising to see that. Overstaying their welcome, and definitely a few drop micro going on. Ooh, there's saying, did he disconnect? Because honestly, it kind of looks like that. I don't know what's going on with local. I also don't even know if this is local ghost. Double check your orders, both, or neither one. If it's local, it would make the most sense for it to be local ghost, since local ghost is kind of known for memeing around a bit, and sometimes memeing so hard that it just looks like he's intentionally playing badly. And that was definitely a questionable situation that happened right there. And, you know, we're just going to move on past it, as it looks like the Sorcerer will be chasing down the Apothecary. Apothecary upgrades coming in for Overtly Gemerous with the customized Stormbolter as well as the Purification Rites. We've seen him get that Purification Rites before in different series, and we've seen him get quite a lot of value out of it. I think it is quite a good war gear. But what is this Apothecary doing so far behind enemy lines, aside from just trying to kite away from this Sorcerer? Eventually, the Sorcerer does win this. I guess the Apothecary is hoping for a heal at some point, and maybe to regroup with some of his own units, but so far this has been a pretty strange faction war going into this. Apothecary, okay, finally, yeah, he does use a heal on himself, and the Sorcerer just seems to let him go. Anyway, our Chaos players are reclaiming their natural power node. We'll put a node on it, start putting some generators as well. That dead Force Commander, though... No, it's actually a Tech Marine who's still there. Not the Force Commander. So the Force Commander is actually back. He's going to charge in with the Iron Halo. Yeah, him getting into melee, I mean, look at that. Look at that special attack, taking a nice chunk out of the health of those Chaos Space Marines. I mean, this squad of Chaos Space Marines really needs to pull back, going in for force melee against the Scouts, but soon they're going to start getting chopped up even more. But the Scouts go down? What? And the Chaos Space Marines go down as well. This, I mean, we're only like 5 minutes in, and this faction war, I feel like this one's more all over the place in just the first 5 minutes than any of the other ones that I've done for this month, possibly for this year. Force Commander might even go down, and he does. That damage over time bolter from that Plague Champion doing a lot of work. Chaos Space Marines moving in for force melee, but they're going to find themselves, oh man, 2 squads of Chaos Space Marines getting right into the firing arc of a devastated Marine squad. But the Plague Champion over here does manage to get into melee, and he does scare off 1 Devastator squad. Looks like the other one's actually going to have to be getting out of here as well, probably. Yeah, Heretics in their retreat path. They can't stick around any longer. Heretics... I was going to say, it didn't look like they... Felt like the Heretics kind of missed there. I feel like that the Heretics had gotten a little bit more head-on. They would have actually taken a model. Some generator bashing going to be happening right here from this Noise Marine squad out of Milton. Noise Marine, of course, quite powerful for bashing generators. Meanwhile, our Chaos players apparently having trouble holding their natural victory point, have lost it again. They're reclaiming it at this time, but they've definitely dropped victory points in the process. It is currently a victory point advantage for our Space Marine players, as we do see this Havoc getting flanked by the Scouts. May not have needed to retreat there, especially with all that support coming in, but will be retreated nevertheless and will not lose a model. Meanwhile, these Heretics are overwhelmed. They got, yeah, the Shotgun Scouts need to turn around, start shooting again. Doomblast pretty nice to cover 2 of them, but eventually these Heretics got to run out of steam. Force melee from the Tax. I was wondering if that would have a chance of bringing down the squad, but that lone Aspiring Champion model just has too much health left at the end. Meanwhile, sneaky Shotgun Scouts bashing a generator, apparently. It does look, I believe it's mostly Overtly Gemerous. Yeah, it's definitely Overtly Gemerous who's being super annoying with his Scouts right now, whether it's doing backcapping, bashing. Now he's even detected by that lone Aspiring Champion model in Alpha Omega. Probably has his eyes... positioned elsewhere on the map, so he didn't actually attack the Scouts with his Chaos Space Marines. Yeah, they're just rejoining right here. Dreadnought now out on the field for Katla. And so this looks like the first of our Tier 2 units. Yes, indeed. Does not go for that Plague Champion on retreat. A little bit surprising. I think there's actually a chance might have been able to kill the Plague Champion. Apothecary, meanwhile, up here by himself again. Okay, here is some support from... one of Overtly Gemerous' other units, because he doesn't have that many. He never really does until Tier 3. And these Tactical Marines all by themselves, and eventually, yeah, they just got to retreat. So Tier 2 upgrades for Overtly Gemerous, but no units. Excuse me. Meanwhile, here are those Scouts being super annoying again. If this is not reacted to, that's a dead... Yeah, I mean, it's a dead squad. The Heretics are just so incredibly squishy. Rude. Yeah, if you don't have an Aspiring Champion on your Heretics, then, yeah, a single grenade like that will absolutely just take them out if you don't react at all. So, Las Cannon Havoc out for Alpha Omega. Not a great firing arc because there are a lot of line of sight blockers here. So this is not a great position for the Havoc. Oh no! The entire army right here just getting suppressed. This is like 5 units being suppressed. by the Devastator Marine Squad. Not a great position for them. Looks like another Havoc is out, this one from AOG. And very surprisingly, the Tech Marine, does he go down? 3 hit points? No. He does go down in the end. That damage over time bolter from the Plague Champion doing a lot of work. But overall, this is definitely a massively lost engagement for our Chaos players. Just walking into those firing arcs of those Devastator Marine squads proving to be quite a problem. Now, part of what's challenging over here is that our players in these 2 lanes, Alpha, Omega, and AOG, first of all, they're playing as the Plague Champion, who traditionally struggles more with heavy setup team play than any of the other Chaos commanders. And they don't really have much in their build to answer it either. They have no Raptors, they don't have Bloodletters yet, but Alpha Omega is getting them. Here is a Generator Bash this should be a full bash. And, okay, I mean, Milton is set up over here controlling the contested victory point, and for the moment, that will ensure the double cap for our Chaos players. On this side, though, it really does look like Alpha, Omega, and AOG struggling quite a bit. Heretics getting really low. They have to retreat. Yeah, they can't last there much longer. Oh my god. This side of the map, it really is feeling like Space Marine oppression against Chaos. Iron Halo, kind of the last second. I think this Force Commander, yeah, he needs to manually walk out, I was going to say, with the Iron Halo still active, but he's actually just brought to life again. I think that might have been a heal from the Apothecary, just reviving him at range like that. It's actually been such a long time since I've even seen that at all that I often forget that it's even a thing. And I even question whether or not it's really a thing. Doom bolts go out, but it's a complete miss. Oh, no. All right, but it does look like Overtly Gemerous going to move back over to his side of the map because I think he's in the lane against Milton, but Milton is very well entrenched at the moment. Now, of course, something that's also been, it's kind of come up sometime. There have been a few other series where I've talked about marks on your Chaos Space Marines. This is especially a matchup where I feel like those marks on your Chaos Space Marine are going to get a lot of value because you're going to be, whether it's, usually it's Mark of Tzeentch because Chaos Space Marines are really normally your dedicated ranged unit. But upgrading to this Mark of Tzeentch, it gives you both a flat increase. Maybe not flat. Maybe that's not the right word right here. But an increase no matter what in DPS. Just the raw numbers of the Mark of Tzeentch are higher than the starting damage of the Chaos Space Marines. Then you also switch out the Piercing Bolters with the Inferno Bolters. And that's switching out a weapon that has a penalty against heavy armor with a weapon that has a bonus against heavy armor. So those Mark of Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines will get a lot of value here in this matchup against any power armor unit and really just against any infantry unit. So we'll see. I think it's only AOG who has them at the moment. Alpha, Omega, no, and Milton, no either. All right, Havoc is set up, taking some shots at the Dreadnought. Oh, two Havocs actually have line of sight on it, but it should be okay, I think it's probably going to try to use Assault Cannon Barrage on this one, and it also has line of sight blocks from this one, so it will be okay. Nearly wiping out the Havoc. A few shots from the Shotgun Scouts trying to finish it off, but now they're going too far behind enemy lines. Another Force Barrier from that Librarian, and the Scouts actually go down. Meanwhile, we've got a Plague Champion right here trying to chase after the Dreadnought with that Plague Fist, but he doesn't have any other upgrades, so he's not that strong, and Mark Target is put on him. Dreadnought will also have Blessing of the Omnissiah activated. Of course, it's not just that Dreadnought, it's really any vehicle. And Chaos managing to fight back in this engagement. Many of these engagements, I feel like Chaos is struggling, but now Chaos is managing to push back out, and they're still actually controlling this. I mean, there's no movement from Milton, and there's no... Well, here's the movement from Overtly Gemerous. But Overtly Gemerous is not straight up fighting in his lane against Milton. So Milton's content to sit there, and it's almost like we have mostly a 2v2. It's mostly like we're watching a 2v2 game. Or maybe like a 2 versus like a 2v2.5 or something, since Overtly Gemerous doesn't have much of an arm, and he's kind of just rotating over to the middle, not even fighting over the contested victory point. So the Space Marines at the moment are voluntarily giving away victory points over on that contested victory point lane. But Overtly Gemerous will actually go for the back cap on the Chaos Natural when he finally gets his third unit. This is his third unit, a Land Raider. Well, his third, like, purchase. Well, technically, no. It's always confusing, but anyway. We see that basically he went Scout Tac Land Raider. That's not a very common Space Marine build. Scout Tac Land Raider. All right, then. So Chaos Space Marines fighting in here in melee with these Tactical Marines. Now, the thing is, these Chaos Space Marines actually fighting with melee weapons because they have an aspiring champion, but no mark. We did see some attempt to fight back from that with the "and they shall know no fear" out of the Tactical Marines, but eventually they gave that up and actually captured the power node and put a node on it. My God. So Overtly Gemerous is doing some crazy stuff, actually stealing away a stealth mission to steal away one of the natural power plants or farms of the Chaos players. Can't believe I said plants. He finally has this Land Raider, but still hasn't quite moved in to capture the natural. I'm waiting to see if anything's going to happen. Apothecary trying to move forward. Now, what's really it is kind of tough to just move into this, especially with overtly Gemerous still not exactly having a huge army. Like one shot from the Blastmaster against these Tacs, and they might need to get out off the field. Yeah, I mean, look at that. A heal comes in, but look at how much health they don't even have. Now they're going to retreat to the Land Raider. So they're technically still here, but this still isn't quite working out for Overtly Gemerous just yet. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines moving forward. Meanwhile, on this side, we are going to see those backcapping scouts by Overtly Gemerous trying to get that victory point again, but just not really able to at this point. Looks like some lag is going on as well. And our Chaos players in general kind of suffering, not having great ways to deal with those Devastators aside from the lone Bloodletters out of Alpha Omega. Meanwhile, we've got Touch of Nurgle on Chaos Space Marines. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, no less. Force Commander's in here. Force Commander's been doing so much work, though, with this build. Lascannon Predator also out for Katla, and it sounds like things might be happening over here, but it's still not going in Overtly Gemerous' favor, and he's actually... Oh, no, he loses the Tactical Marine squad, just trying to have them stay by the Land Raider instead of having them retreat all the way to base. They're just finished off by these Chaos Space Marines from Milton, although those Chaos Space Marines getting a little low themselves. So yeah, at least right now, this isn't working out for Overtly Gemerous by himself. He's got to get something else. And part of the problem is also that he left Milton alone for so long that Milton really entrenched himself. Like, this is something you need. I think you need a little bit more than what Overtly Gemerous has, or you need a flank. I think at this point he's going to need help from his teammates. And to be fair, his teammates are kind of crushing this side of the map, but they're not converting into victory points. Chaos Terminators will go down. Mark target was put on them. What is going on in this game? What is this series? This is only game one. Oh, double Lascannon Havocs taking shots, doing massive amounts of damage to that Dreadnought. Grenade will go in, though. That should be enough to dislodge one of the Havocs as it'll get out of there with only one model left. Going to have to retreat back to base. So backcapping pressure out of Overtly Gemerous because he just can't take this back. Where's this Land Raider? His Land Raider has suffered some damage, needs some repairs. He's actually just going to bring it over here. So Milton has completely locked this down. And at the moment, Overtly Gemerous not even going for that. At this point, I expect Overtly Gemerous probably looking for a Terminator call-in, because, you know, you can't buy a second Land Raider, even though it looks like that's what he's saving up his resources for. Lascannon Havoc, though, is set up. Currently, nothing's really be done about that Havoc. Scouts might be moving forward. They don't have a shotgun ready. Touch of Nurgle on the Bloodletters, this Land Raider Redeemer. How far away is it from being outside of the Lascannon's firing arc range? Okay, I think it can get out of there. The Bloodletters, though, get them out of there. Okay, I think the Land Raider will just barely make it out. The Havoc is also setting up again in a different place. This game one is absolutely baffling. So we're going to see, yeah, there are the Terminators out of Overtly Gemerous. That's what made the most sense. We're going to see the Cyclone Missile Launcher come in. Cyclone Missile Launcher could be to just give them a way to disrupt more of these setup teams at range. And also nice for capping. A double Lascannon Havoc set up. Not a great position for them. They want to move away from the Terminators. And the Terminators might also want to move away from these Bloodletters. They don't have their teleport because they teleported in. Bloodletters are going to do massive amounts of damage to these Terminators. Chaos Space Marines, though, why are they so close here? Chaos Terminators, not Chaos Space Marines in some trouble. Advanced healing will come out for the Terminators, but eventually the Apothecary itself will have to retreat. I don't know why I decided to make the Apothecary an it. I think the Apothecary is male. And I'm not about to bring gender politics into this cast. Anyway, so Havocs. The two Havocs are set up. They are firing. They are taking their shots. Something needs to be done about these double Havocs. Now, eventually, though, I think sight will... Yeah, there won't be enough sight on the Havocs, or sight for the Havocs, as the Chaos Space Marines really getting mowed down there. And eventually the Force Barrier will knock down the Havocs as well. I don't know how worth it is to continue these ninja generator bashes. I think at this point it might be worth it to try to deal with this. I mean, let's also take a look. We've got a nuke from LocalghostUrOrders, and I feel like that should actually really be used on this. Like, just to dislodge all of this, and then for the Space Marine players to move back in here. We're going to see the Cyclone Missile Barrage dropped. Does scare one of the Havocs off into retreating, but only the Las Cannon. Las Cannon, I would argue, probably the least important of those three setup teams. Meanwhile, Chaos Heretics possibly going down, and indeed they will. Back over here. Lots of Havocs this game. Lots of Havocs this game, and yet I don't recall seeing any Space Marine vehicles going down yet. So, despite the massive amount of anti-vehicle damage, a lot of times these vehicles for the Space Marines are managing to just get out alive. But our Space Marine players massively behind in the victory points at the moment. So, second Land Raider, this one out of LocalghostUrOrders. Bloodletters moving in. Bloodletters, they need to get out of here. Bloodletters are great, but this is way too much for them. Once they phase out of the warp, they're going to start actually dropping models. There's the first one. There's the second one. Might even lose another in retreat. I don't know what's going on with the Bloodletters there. They're mostly lucky to get out alive, but very, very unnecessarily dropping 3 of those models. Sniper Scouts, of all things, right here. Sniper Scouts, nevertheless, just going to get gunned down by the double Chaos Space Marines right here with that Mark of Tzeentch. Assault Cannon Barrage goes in. Certainly the Assault Cannon Barrages have been great, and I definitely approve of them so far as they've been seen in this game. And at this point, we do have... It's only Alpha Omega who does not have Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, or any mark on his Chaos Space Marines. Only has them completely unmarked, and yet at level 4. Land Raider Phobos will now come out for Alpha Omega. Terminator's trying to do something about this, and we're finally seeing Overtly Gemerous try to make a play here with some of the support from LocalghostUrOrders. We'll use the Cyclone Missile Barrage to take out the Shrine of Tzeentch. And finally, it looks like this entrenchment from Milton will be dislodged. Meanwhile, Milton, he can buy something. What is he waiting for? Some Terminators? And curiously, also, our Chaos players now own no power whatsoever. This one has been taken by the Space Marines, while this one has just been decapped. I'm missing an orbital bombardment. Doesn't actually look like it catched a whole lot anyway. All right, Las Cannon haven't taken shots at the Land Raider, but it's right on the edge of the firing arc, so it won't be too far. But we also see the Land Raider. The Land Raider's driving forward. The Las Cannon still has it. I don't know if it's trying to go so far forward to use a frag assault on it, but that's a long way to go. Okay, we also have the Whirlwinds coming in, maybe putting some disruption on it. Frag assault is committed and does not hit the Havoc. Okay, now it should be the Force Commander. I thought he was going to go in for the Havoc. This might even be a dead Land Raider, especially if anything else gets involved here. Cyclone Missile Launcher goes in. It's going to be some kind of call-in, possibly some Assault Terminators, I think, maybe, question mark? Yes, indeed. And they're all going to get knocked down by the Force Barrier. It's now a triple cap for our Space Marine players. Crazily enough, Land Raider Phobos moving out, but something's going to go down here. That's the end of the Bloodletters from Alpha Omega, and the beginning of the end for this Land Raider Redeemer. As the Land Raider Phobos moves in, I think that was even just a single volley from both of the Las Cannons, and that was the end of it. Dirge Caster will also go out. Stuns 3 squads, well, 3 units. One of them a squad, 2 of them, one of them a commander, one of them a sub-commander. However, also the Assault Terminator's still in here, going to try to put some damage on them. This is especially where Alpha Omega would really, really want some kind of mark on his Chaos Space Marines, because these Terminators, they're absolutely not scared of unmarked Chaos Space Marines, but they're incredibly scared of marked Chaos Space Marines. These Assault Terminators, though, eventually they're probably going to get overwhelmed, and AOG has Zinch Chaos Space Marines of his own. These Terminators are probably dead. I think this is an ill-advised chase into the base. Yeah, they might have even just been forgotten about, because even if they try to teleport, they don't go very far. They finally teleport and get shot down immediately. That being said, we could make an argument that that bought a lot of time, and soon the victory points are actually about to go in favor of the Space Marines, despite the fact that they have not held the victory points for most of this game. So, double Havocs, again, taking some shots on those Dreadnoughts, but now the Chaos players, they need the victory points so badly. It's amazing that they're actually in a position, this is a position where they very well could lose this game, despite the victory point advantage they've had for most of it. These Chaos Space Marines will not live to capture this point, not even to get the decap. They get some sight range, I guess, for an Imperial Abyss. The Imperial Abyss does not achieve that much, and the Land Raider Phobos also in a huge amount of trouble right now. It's positioned pretty far forward. Terminators use their Cyclone missile launcher on it. What other damage do we have against it? Meanwhile, it does look like Milton trying to take this back. The Sorcerer is too low on health. I think this is crazy, but I think our Space Marine players are probably going to take this game. I know our Chaos players still have some amount of time to push out, but it looks like it's just being repelled each time. And we're at the time where our Chaos players, they don't have time to... They don't really have time for long, drawn-out fights. They need units on the point. Problem is, they don't really have many units that can be on the point. Like here, we've got 3 setup teams. There's like no point presence. They can't just go on this point. They'll be mowed down immediately. One shot from the Devastator will just practically nuke most of their health. And I guess for Local Ghost, what we can say here is that all his pushing into base, even if he's throwing units away, is just creating space and zoning of the Chaos players out of the victory points. And that'll be the first game in favor of the Space Marines. That was the silliest game in a faction war that I'm pretty sure I've seen this year. But we're not done yet. We're going on to game number 2. Game number 2 will take place on Argus. No, this is not Argus. This is Calderis Refinery. Just kidding. We're going to start off with Katla, and we're going to have no changes in our Space Marine roster. Katla on the Tech Marine, Local Ghost Your Orders on the Force Commander, and Overtly Gemerous playing the Apothecary. Their opponents, we are going to have Tenso stepping in for Milton as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. Alpha Omega staying on his Plague Champion, and AOG going to be moving over to the Chaos Lord. Stretched out that sentence so we could finally get the hero to show up. But then, yeah, that was... What a game that was. May every game in this series live up to the spectacle and the silliness that was that game 1. Kill the Week actually just used to delay the cap and knock the Tech Marine off the point. Problem is, eventually the Chaos Lord, I'm pretty sure, does lose this. There's so much more support for the Tech Marine than there is for the Chaos Lord. The single Chaos Space Marine squad will move up, but we've got the double scouts, the tax as well. The Kill the Week already on cooldown. Even Force Melee from the Chaos Space Marines I don't even think matters that much at this point, as the Chaos Lord is going to go down. And this series already kind of living up to the excitement of the first game. I don't even think the Tech Marine goes down here. Anyway, okay, you know, actually, we're going to see Chaos Space Marines in melee with the Tax. Tax will actually retreat out of there, and the Heretics coming in for support actually does kind of work out. And they're just running away from the Force Commander, pretty much just ignoring him. That Force Commander from Local Ghost Your Orders. Let's take a look at this side of the map right here. It does look like some Doom Bolts going out, doing some massive damage to those Tactical Marines. They get a heal, but they still dropped a model in the process. So it looks like Overtly Gemerous wants to make something happen with this offensive. Does not have Purification rights, though, so charging headlong into those double heretics is a little bit questionable. Doesn't have shotguns either. I don't think, if there is a win condition here in this fight for Overtly Gemerous, I don't think it involves aggressively moving forward. I think it would involve focus firing on like a single unit at a time to try to force them off. Like concentrate the tanks, the scouts, on just like one of those heretic squads, for instance, or in this case, the Plague Champion. More Doom Bolts will come out, though. This one will be completely missed, as is sometimes the case when you're just throwing out raw Doom Bolts where you have no way of confirming it. Some travel time on those Doom Bolts. They are missable. Let's take a look over here. We're going to see a Force Commander by himself up against some Chaos Space Marines and some Heretics. Being guided a little bit with suppression from the Heretics. And the Chaos Space Marines just laying in their range fire. But eventually... Oh, we also have the Iron Halo, so the Iron Halo will be active. And now we also see some threat put on the Chaos Space Marines. They can actually tank that for a little while, though. Even with a Sergeant upgrade on the Scout Squad, the range damage of a single Scout Squad is still pretty low. 500 victory points in favor of our Chaos players. Oh, and by the way, we got the Tenso going for a triple Heretic build. An old Sorcerer classic. Kind of an old Chaos classic, but I think you see it with... when it was a common thing a long time ago, and perhaps there are still people who do it regularly. It's definitely more of a 1v1 thing, but it's definitely an old Sorcerer classic because you're giving your Sorcerer plenty of Heretics to consume to shoot out Doom Bolts. You can do double Heretic Worship shenanigans, and you can also have a third Heretic inside the Worship ready to attack in melee. And in spite of that, we don't see a Sergeant out of Overtly Gemerous yet. It's actually just amazing that Overtly Gemerous has a second Scout Squad, but no Sergeant. No shotguns either. Oh, lone Tactical Marine Squad right here. Can't even see it behind all those canisters. Will go down to just one model. One of those water tower things. One of them was even taken down. Big obstruction. Just so many things in the way here. Chaos Lord going to be speeding himself up with Heretic Worship. We're actually going to see the Combi Flamer. Oh, no. He's trying to get around the Tarantula turret. He's not even really around the firing arc. I think that was what they were talking about in the chat. Fortunately, it didn't work. Oh, my God. And lost the Chaos Space Marine Squad. My God. So that was pretty rough. Yeah, unfortunately, was not completely around it. That's pretty rough. Anyway, we are going to see a double cap soon for our Chaos players. AOG needing to replace his Chaos Space Marine. Certainly just needs replacement units, period. Whatever they are. Tenso actually going triple Heretic into single Chaos Space Marine. Looking for more Doom Bolt casts, and this one... I think it just barely hit, but none of it was really head-on, so it didn't really seem to do much damage. We're going to see a Plague Champion. So finally, the help comes in from Alpha Omega to help take care of the turret. Also has a Bile Spewer. Probably purchased mainly to take out the turret, but also means they can do something about this generator farm right here as well, if they do something quickly enough. Whether they want to take it out or take it for themselves. What is the Plague Champion going to do? Chaos Space Marines looking for just more kills on those scouts, but 3 models will get out alive, and actually it looks like the Force Commander is here, so the Plague Champion did miss somewhat of an opportunity to bash something here, because this is a lot of power that our Space Marine players are getting. Space Marine players have a massive amount of power at the moment. Let's even take a look at what their actual power income is. Plus 69 compared to only plus 52 for our Chaos players. Because our Space Marine players actually have 3 full power farms, which is not particularly common. So it's definitely a fair amount of requisition invested into it, but, I mean, for the moment, they are getting the power. So Tenso getting some Aspiring Champions. He's got 2 Aspiring Champions, as far as his Heretics go. Plasma Attack sitting in cover with that Plasma Gun. They're up against these double Chaos Space Marines. No mark on these Chaos Space Marines, in part because, well, they're not even in Tier 2. Going to be some kind of drop pod right here. Is it going to be a reinforcement drop pod? No, that is another tac squad. I was wondering if it would be a reinforcement drop pod to reinforce that tac squad. and both tac squads will have to retreat anyway, and that drop pod will inevitably be taken down. Meanwhile, man, this power is still up here, so this is still our Chaos players, sorry, our Space Marine players getting a lot of power. Okay, finally the node is taken down. Heretics are starting to capture it, or at least get the decap. Chaos Lord trying to chase after these scouts. He does have the Combi Flamer, and it is kind of interesting to see that one in this matchup. This, I mean, the Space Marine versus Chaos matchup isn't a matchup where I would say the Combi Flamer gets as much value as others, but it would still be highly effective against the scouts. So Power Fist on this Force Commander from Local, and he's got the Armor of Alacrity again, so that Armor of Alacrity, I feel like you don't, I mean, realistically speaking, you have Terminator armor, which of course really just changes the Force Commander entirely. In fact, in terms of game mechanics, you're literally just taking the Force Commander off the field and replacing him with a Force Commander Terminator. Aside from that, you basically only have two armor choices for the Force Commander: Alacrity or Artificer. Artificer is the tankier one, so you generally see that more often. Alacrity gives you a little bit of speed. You get a passive speed increase, just a 0.5, and then you also get sprint. Only problem with this, maybe not only problem, but one problem with this is that it doesn't necessarily pair that well with the Iron Halo. Because if you activate Sprint, then you are taking away some of the energy that you would use for the Iron Halo. So you definitely give up. This is not a pure tanky build out of this Force Commander. It's meant to be a more speedy one. And when you have the... I do like it with the Power Fist, however, because that Power Fist... Oh god, these scouts, they're absolutely in a huge amount of trouble. And that Emperor's Fist is not going to save them. I like the Alacrity armor with the Power Fist because that Power Fist is just so dependent on just getting into range long enough to at least deliver one attack, and you just get that big burst damage from the Power Fist as long as you get in range to attack once. And this makes it a lot harder to just kite away from that Power Fist. So we'll get here. He's going to even see if he can tag the Sorcerer. One hit on the Sorcerer might take him out. No, he would need two. And he doesn't get in range anyway. Chaos Space Marine's in a lot of trouble, though. Force Commander doing it. I mean, just look at the chunk that was taken out. The Dreadnought was looking to see if it could finish off that Chaos Space Marine squad, but does not succeed. Triple cap for our Space Marine players at the moment. Tenso having trouble getting out of his base. Looks like he lost his non-aspiring champion Heretic squad at some point. He's got some Plague Marines moving out. We've got also Plague Marines coming out of Alpha Omega. Everybody's just kind of ignoring this Force Commander. Meanwhile, back here, we're going to have Mark Target put on the Bloodletters. They're not lasting very, very long at all with Mark Target. I mean, Mark Target increases the damage that a squad takes by 40%. That's a crazy, crazy damage amplification. 40% is ridiculous. Any squad that has Mark Target on it ideally just wants to disengage. All right, Bloodletters, though, cleaving through these Tactical Marines pretty mercilessly. Looks like we're going to see some merciless things happening on this side, though, to some Chaos units. Tenso apparently struggling a little bit as this Dreadnought coming into his base. He does not really have a sufficient answer to something like a Dreadnought. One lone Plague Marine squad is not enough, and we see the way they're getting abused as well. He's going to need something else. But, oh my god, he's going to lose the Plague Marines. He can't afford that either. Wait, these are were these Tensos? Are these... Oh, those are Alpha Omegas. So it's weird. I mean, right now it feels like, oh, we're going to see this Force Commander go down. Manages to teleport the corpse. Or rather, he's not technically dead. He's incapacitated, but managed to teleport him away with the Librarian's Gate of Infinity. That was kind of funny. I don't know. I wonder, can you use Gate of Infinity on an incapacitated commander? That probably only worked because the Force Commander was like in the middle of being incapacitated. This Librarian, I don't know where he's going. Like, if he goes down, he doesn't get incapacitated. What is going on, Local? What is this series? Anyway. Double cap for our Space Marines, but not for much longer. as we are seeing Chaos Forces take control of the Space Marine Natural, the contested victory point. Space Marine units will be in combat with Bloodletters right here. These are some Summoning Circle Bloodletters, however. Heretics getting pretty low on health. Do they get out alive? They shouldn't, but they will. No, they won't. Gotcha baited. I guess maybe the Tactical Marines had a target on them. Tactical Marines having They Shall Know No Fear active. There is still a Chaos Heretic squad here, but there's also a Dreadnought, Overtly Gemerous, absolutely being merciless right here. It is definitely Tenso back here, and things are going pretty rough for him as he just gets pushed all the way back into his base. This Dreadnought can 100% go all the way in. Might be a little bit hard. You have the Force Commanders in here. The Dreadnought absolutely can move in here, and they can just put the hurt more on the Tenso. But at the same time, though, our Space Marine players are actually losing the victory points at the moment, as it looks like the opposite is happening on this side of the map with the Dreadnought nearly taken down for Katla. The Plague Marines look for one more shot. They can... Oh, my God. 1 hit point on that Dreadnought. 1 hit point on that Dreadnought. I think it might have been worth it to try to see if those Plague Marines could have gotten another shot off. It would have been tricky, because those Plague Marines, there would have been attempts to tie them up. There might have been a shotgun blast to knock them down. They didn't actually have that much health left. We're seeing the drop pod being taken down by the Bile Spewer. And these Chaos Space Marines, I feel like one of them might want to be... Well, one's a Chaos Space Marine, one is a Plague Marine squad. One of them might want to be on the victory point, their natural victory point, to take it back for them. This is not a great use of the Sorcerer's time. This will take him a fair amount of time to take down this node. And I mean, I know they want it back, but I think you want to commit someone else to the job. Space Marine players need to get back their own natural, though. This has actually been pretty crazy. Corn Marines. So now, talking about marks for Chaos Space Marines, we are seeing Corn Marines out of AOG. Not to be confused with AOC, the congressperson in the United States. Not to get political or anything. Tactical Marines will be getting out of here alive. Hearing the sound of a Predator. Chaos Predator. Not a Space Marine one. Gonna be the Mark of Khorne. So interesting to see that. These days, this is definitely the type of Predator that I see the least. But right now, it's doing some good damage to that Librarian. The Librarian standing there just a little bit too long. Oh, this is the second Librarian for Local Ghost. Want to make sure he doesn't throw that second one away. Veil of Time on the Force Commander, trying to chase after the Predator. And that could work to some extent, but... Right now, the Predator's still just doing such a good job of kiting it, and that's going to be another Force Commander going down. Yes, it will be. This is messy stuff. Oh my God, where do those Corn Marines? They had like no health going into that fight. Oh, and this is a Bloodletter squad. This isn't like summoning. This isn't like Blood Sacrifice Bloodletters or anything either. Can he get the retreat in time? There's just so much range damage here. They might no. All right, this Khorne Predator, okay, now there's an answer now. We've got the Vengeance rounds, Stern Guard veterans. Plasma Tech Marine also going for the Orb of the Omnissiah. Certainly plenty of answer to the Chaos Predator now. But unfortunately for the Tech Marine, he's taking too much damage. This Khorne Predator actually is doing some nice work. Like, this is the variant that I see the least. But it's doing great work at this time. Getting the increased damage on the autocannon there is actually doing a lot of nice burst damage on, well, pretty much just anything it's shooting. Man, our Chaos players have, like, no units at this time. And, of course, by no units, I mean not that many. A little bit of an exaggeration right there. I feel like this Khorne Predator is just going to rip these scouts apart. All right, that wasn't quite the ripping apart that I thought would happen, but nevertheless, it's still a winning fight for the Predator. Overtly Gemerous really has this The late game obsession with power is quite interesting. But at the very least, Space Marines do have control of the victory points. Chaos Predator is not kiting. It needs to move away from this Force Commander, otherwise that Force Commander is going to do a lot of damage with every swing of the fist. But this is probably going to be another dead Force Commander. Yep, there it is. Meanwhile, on this side, there's some Khorne worship. Dreadnought. But there's not enough to deal with the Dreadnoughts. I mean, we've got 2 Dreadnoughts. This is a level 4 Dreadnought, level 4 melee Dreadnought, level 2 range Dreadnought. Our Chaos players, they for most of the game, they just have not had enough in terms of anti-vehicle. The Plague Marines, in many cases, proving to be pretty insufficient as a single source of anti-vehicle. Their overall damage just isn't really high enough. I've always personally kind of viewed them as supplemental AV. Okay. Cyclone Missile Launcher Barrage goes in, nearly taking out the Chaos Predator. It's also going to be an Imperial Abyss. Unfortunately, the Imperial Abyss gets pretty much no value. And this is also going to be a dead Predator. One swing, that's it for the Predator. That might also be it for our Chaos players in this game. Not sure what... Yeah, I like, it might look early to call, and I'm not going to pretend like I've never called a game too early. But if we just put it this way, right now, our Space Marine players are in an extremely, extremely strong position. Like, it's actually, like, extremely strong. First of all, aside from the double cap, and aside from Alpha Omega having close to no army, one of the biggest things is that our Chaos players have already been struggling heavily with the vehicles that have already been out from our Space Marine players. We're also going to see the Plague Champion go down. They've been struggling just with the Dreadnoughts, and now we've put 2 new Predators out on the field. And our Chaos players, they just can't deal with this right now. They need more. We have a Las Cannon Predator on the side of Chaos, but I don't even think that'll be enough, especially if we start seeing Las Cannons, which we're going to see. Oh, yeah. The Space Marine Predator, it's trying to take advantage of the timing to get the drop with the Las Cannon, but it's moving in such... Oh, no. Oh, no. That might be exactly what... Oh, no. Local throwing away a unit again. That's like exactly what our Chaos players need to come back into this game. Unfortunately, it is kind of dependent on our Space Marine players kind of throwing away units like that. I mean, he chased after the Las Cannon Chaos Predator when he didn't have a Las Cannon of his own. He had no support for his own Predator, and he went right into the range of a Plague Marine squad. That being said, Alpha Omega now literally, no exaggeration this time, has literally no army except for just his hero. We've got Terminators on the flank with their Cyclone Missile Launcher Barrage, but don't try to attempt the force melee on the Predator before it's able to drive away from them. It's going to be a... That's going to be a pretty nice orbital. Oh my god. And he's going to put all the beams there. Actually, all the beams there doesn't really mean much, because the first one will knock them away, but still pretty nice in that, in terms of just catching them in the path. Nearly takes out the Plague Marines, but doesn't actually wipe any squads, but it was still a well-placed orbital. And this is also just something that's continuing to buy time. It's looking like this is going to be Game 2 in favor of our Space Marines yet again. Oh, that should be one dead Plague Marine squad. Yes, one of the Plague Marine squads is dead. I mean, just trying to get more Plague Marines to deal with these Dreadnoughts, proving to be ineffectual. Yeah, that's it for Game 2. So Space Marines going up 2-0 in this series. Still got some victory points to tick down, so it might be still like another minute before the end of the game even happens, unless we just see it concede. But it's pretty clear at this point that this is just one blunder after another. There definitely have been a few blunders in these games so far. Let's go to Game 3. Game number 3 will take place on Angstrom Heights. We're going to have the same roster out of our Space Marine players, but we will see some commander switches. Katla now switching over to her trademark Force Commander. Local Ghost Your Order is going to be on the Tech Marine. And Overtly Gemerous staying on that Apothecary, wherever it is. Their opponents, Alpha Omega, staying on the Plague Champion. Draktan will be coming in for AOG and playing as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. Meanwhile, the Tenso will be switching over to the Chaos Lord. All right. Doombolts will be going in. Pretty nice hit on those scouts, taking about almost half of their hit points. Sorcerer now moving forward. Sorcerer is by himself, however, so they can kind of kite the Sorcerer right here. Although the Tech Marine seems more focused on the victory point, scouts will move away from the Sorcerer. Sorcerer got a few shots off, like 1 or 2 from the bolt pistol, but eventually those scouts can... The Sorcerer should never really be able to catch up to the scouts. They're just faster than him. More Doombolts going out, but they miss, and now the Sorcerer is forced off. Units are finally coming in for support, but unfortunately a little bit late to the party. Heretics going to get in, looking for the Tech Marine, seeing if they can finish him off in retreat, but they can't. Eventually, Heretics retarget onto the Tax, and now here's even more support coming from the Tenso, coming in with his Chaos Space Marines, as well as his Chaos Lord. That feels like a little bit of an early retreat out of the Tactical Marines, not having lost a model, still having quite a few hit points in there. But, and this does look like it's probably going to end up being a winning fight for Chaos, but no, there's more Space Marine reinforcements coming in. Force Commander now joining the party as the Tactical Marines shoot up on the high ground with Kraken Bolts. Kraken Bolts, though, focused on the Chaos Lord, don't really do anything. That's, like, not a sentence. The Force Commander does get eventually so low that he will have to get out of here. We're just seeing players converging in from all sides of the map to fight in this middle. Tactical Marines, meanwhile, will be about to get into melee with the Chaos Lord. Chaos Space Marines looking to get some of that as well, and the Tactical Marines will just retreat. Meanwhile, these Tacs on the high ground still having a heyday up here, still being pretty much uncontested. Nobody's shooting back at them or doing anything. Apothecary about to get surrounded, but uses Purification Rites heal to knock everyone back. Problem is that Purification Rites, it's very useful for that disruption, but it doesn't actually do that much damage, and once it's on cooldown, you don't actually want to commit to a melee fight with the Apothecary, who's not that great of a combatant. He gets knocked down, he's really low on hit points, he hasn't been retreated yet, he gets a special attack off, but he's going to die now. Meanwhile, eventually, those attacks will be turned upon, but it does look like this high ground counts as green cover, even when there's no rail. Just like the fact that they're on high ground counts as green cover. So they've been tanking up here for quite a while, but eventually they will just get overwhelmed, overtaken, as the Heretics and the Chaos Space Marines just kind of push forward. They retreat out of there. Haven't lost a single model, which will be good for them. But at this point, with this many units up here, our Chaos players should be able to convert this into a full Generator Bash. The double Chaos Space Marines out of Alpha Omega, one, and the Plague Champion, taking care of the Generator by themselves. Yeah, this is definitely an overwhelming amount of range firepower from our Chaos players. And these Tacs are not even in cover from Local Ghost. They'll also get hit by some Doombolts. This is not looking like it's going very well. A Shotgun Blast goes in, mostly only catches the Plague Champion, maybe like a single Chaos Space Marine model. This position here is just so strong from our Chaos players. In the green cover, was never a winning fight there, and the Tactical Marines were just not in any kind of cover, not even in yellow cover. So that was clearly a losing fight for them. Meanwhile, down here, we're going to see a Force Commander chasing after some Chaos Space Marines. Gets a special attack, knocks over both of them right here, both of the models for that single squad. Also has the Chainsword and Storm Shield, so interesting to see that here. Chainsword and Storm Shield gives you a 50% resistance to range damage. Also gives you immunity to suppression. You typically see this often as a suppression counter in team games, because you just like instantly cancel suppression and you don't even take much damage against any suppression teams. We don't actually see any suppression teams at all from our Chaos players, but there's still definitely some value to be had from this Chainsword and Storm Shield. Just once the Force Commander has that active, oh my god, what are these scouts doing? All right, once the Force Commander has Defend active, he's just going to be taking so much damage. Not just him, but, you know, any units that are near him. So much less damage from these Noise Marines, from the Chaos Space Marines. Grenade will go in. Manage to go in before they get shut down. but eventually they will retreat, and the grenade doesn't quite connect that much. That being said, the Noise Marines, although they can shut down the ranged weapons of other ranged units, they need to get in range first. And we're seeing these ranged units here just kind of kite away from them, because Tactical Marines and really just any regular ranged unit does outrange Noise Marines. Those Noise Marines do have a shorter range, so you can outrange them. And if you can split up your army enough so that you don't have multiple squads getting silenced by the Noise Marines, then you can just kind of split up and focus fire them. Now, this is a big push by our Space Marine players down in the bottom. They've got to convert this into a generator bash, because that's about as much value as they're going to get from being here bottom. They've actually lost all of the victory points, but soon they'll retake the top, their top natural. But they've lost all of the victory points. They've lost one of their natural power farms. So this is a pretty good start for our Chaos players. Oh, wow. Overtly Gemerous also only has a single scout squad. I'm wondering if... I didn't see... Oh, yes. Overtly Gemerous definitely had attack squad, because that was the one that was shooting from the high ground before in the middle. So Overtly Gemerous lost attack squad, now only has the apothecary and a scout. That's very, very little fighting power out of Overtly Gemerous, which probably does also explain why the top of the map is mostly in favor of the Chaos players, why they control it. All right, so at the very least, it does look like our Space Marine players trade out the Power Bash here. Now, the problem is it's still not exactly equal, because our Space Marine players got their Power Bash a little bit later than the Chaos players did over here. Back over here, because this is where the action is. Assault Marines jump in, but they're in melee with the Heretics. Oh no, they're actually so low. Oh no, the lead model went down. This one's so low. It's got 1 hit point, but now it's got 0. So a little bit of an overextension there by, I believe it was Katla's Assault Marines. Yeah. With that kind of language coming out, it's got to be. Apothecary, meanwhile, is by himself. Does have the customized Stormbolter. Not too bad in terms of damage. Does actually bring him pretty close to the Tech Marine's starting range damage. Meanwhile, Tactical Marines right here upgrading to a Plasma Gun. We're going to see the Plasma Gun on the Tech Marine as well. So these Chaos Space Marines, if they weren't already losing this fight, they'll lose it even harder now. But they will also be in retreat, so of course much of that range damage will be mitigated. Back here, we're going to see a Chaos Lord chasing after some Tactical Marines. Triple tack out of Katla. One of those coming in from a drop pod. And we're seeing the Chaos Lord alone with 3 tack squads. The Force Commander now by himself against double Noise Marines and a Heretic squad. Chaos Space Marines also coming in for support. Does the Force Commander make it out alive? Yes, he does. Chaos Space Marines pushing forward, looking for Force Melee. Noise Marines looking to come in to get those silences, but they pull back, leaving the Chaos Space Marines alone, and that will mean he needs to get them out of there. Meanwhile, Shotgun Scout's going to be overwhelmed by the Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines going in for Force Melee. And this is, yeah, I mean, this is still looking pretty rough for our Chaos players, especially with not too many units for Overtly Gemerous. Going to be getting Devastator Marines, Plasma Devastators no less. A little bit of dance there from the Noise Marines of Draktan as they drop that Cacophony. Shotgun Scouts doing as much damage as they can. So their Shotgun Scouts, of course, they do quite a bit of range damage, but you actually need to get really, really close to get the full value out of the Shotgun Scouts' range damage. There are distance modifiers to their damage. To get the full damage of Scouts, you need to be in a range of 8 units or less, and that's really, really close. So, although Scouts, the base damage numbers are high, you don't always get the full range damage out of them. For a point of reference... Oh, friendly fire damage on those Heretics! Oh, no. That was pretty rough. For a point of reference, I said... to get the full range damage out of Shotgun Scouts, you need to be in a range of 8 or less. Melee unit charge range is generally between 8 and 12. So some melee units can actually start their charge outside of the shotgun range, the maximum damage shotgun range of the Scouts. Anyway, this is going to be a drop pod coming in. This is not the most timely drop pod. I mean, the Heretics will just get on those Tactical Marines. There is some support here, though, from the Tech Marine. Shotgun Scouts also moving in. Yeah, that drop pod, that one was a little questionable. Plasma Dev shot goes in, mostly misses, does knock down a Chaos Space Marine model. Can this Plasma Dev get a second shot, though? It does, but it's also a pretty big miss. In fact, that one was a complete miss, hitting nothing at all. These Chaos Space Marines going in so aggressively, though. There are Plasma Tactical Marine squads right here. I don't know if they make it out alive, especially if Local Ghost turns around and gets the Force Melee. He doesn't get the Force Melee on this Chaos Space Marine squad. The Force Commander also getting pretty low here, trying to get in range with these Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines upgrading to have an Aspiring Champion. Meanwhile, this is a Chaos Dreadnought moving forward, getting into melee range with the Devastator Marines, then attacking with the autocannon in between melee attacks as it moves on forward. And it looks like Local may have forgotten about this because that will be a dead Devastator Marine squad. Even a sync kill to finish it off. Plasma Dev shot going in. Does connect on the Chaos Space Marines. But we're seeing this hero Chaos Dreadnought coming to the rescue. You know, I'm hearing more Blastmaster shots going down. Shotgun Scouts in quite a lot of trouble. Oh no, that's not a good position for them. They'll at least get a decent retreat path, but eventually that is just them off the field. Plasma Cannon shots going in from the Dreadnought. Just getting in from the Devastators on the Dreadnought, and that could also be a dead Tech Marine. Can the... Yes, it will be. Oh no. Local Ghost, or Local Ghost Your Orders, whichever one it is, forgetting about his units left and right here. That could be another dead squad. Too much health, I think. Still not a good retreat path for them, and more friendly fire! The Tenso killing more Chaos units with these Noise Marines than Space Marine. All right, then. Tenso, meanwhile, does have the Blood Maul on the Chaos Lord, as well as the Mantle of Hate. So that Blood Maul does give 100 melee DPS. Of course, though, the Lightning Claws give 100. Oh, man, finally. The Blastmaster gets a nice shot on the Plasma Devastators, but apparently there's stuff happening over here that's going on. Can't even talk about the Blood Maul anymore. So many Plasma Tactical Marine squads as well. Yeah, I mean, every tac squad that's on the field has a plasma gun. So it's lots of plasma. That's lots of plasma! Doom Bolts as well as a Blastmaster shot going in. Shotgun Scouts coming in from behind, forcing melee. Problem is that in the long run, I'm pretty sure the Noise Marines actually win in melee against the Scouts. All right, new generator farm put down for our Space Marine players. Blastmaster Noise Marine gets a shot, knocks over himself. The lead model of the Blastmaster Noise Marine knocked over himself instead of the Force Commander. All right, then. Force Commander does get his special attack, knocking over more Heretics. Mostly actually knocked over the Aspiring Champion. There he knocks over some actual Heretics. Plasma Dev will knock over the Sorcerer, who has upgraded to have the Robes of Torment. First time we've seen this, I'm pretty sure, in this series. And I'm also wondering exactly what is the reason for getting this. I mean, I guess you can just do things like Chains of Torment into Dark Flames. Not terribly strong in this matchup. Chains of Torment could also just be used to immobilize units so that they just get hit full on by Tenso's Blastmaster Noise Marines. Plasma Dev shots going in as well. The melee threats aren't too heavy on the side of the Space Marines, though, which is normally primarily what you get the Robes of Torment for. It's not the only reason, but primarily. Anyway, Dreadnought is behind enemy lines and apparently has been hit by Flesh Over Steel. No, not Flesh Over Steel. Something else. Blessing of the... Orbs of the Omnissiah. Yes, Orbs of the Omnissiah. No Flesh Over Steel since we don't have the Power Fist, but we do have the Orbs of the Omnissiah. Alright, Slaughter has been activated on both of these Chaos Space Marine squads, temporarily increasing their range damage by, I believe, about 20%. That's what the tooltip says, but, and, you know, for the most part, I'll just trust it. Anyway, Blastmaster Noise Marine shots going again, nearly taking out these Stern Guard veterans. These Blastmaster Noise Marines have actually been pretty crazy here, so I'm going to go in on that. Oh, yes. Oh, that one will complete miss. That means that one was just targeting ground. That one's also targeting ground. Probably just a lot of manual targeting out of the Tenso. That one was definitely not a manual target, though. And they don't put any shots in on this Tactical Marine squad. All right, Tactical Marines do get the cap on the power for whatever that's worth at this point in the game. Tier 3 coming out for many of our players. We're going to see the node put on it to just stall. Doesn't stall for very long. Force Commander moving in. Teleporter. Bloodletters teleporting in on the Devastators. Oh my god, this is probably a dead Devastator squad. If it's not reacted to in time, I mean, the Bloodletters just absolutely rip Devastator Marines apart. They've got so little health, and they're a power armor squad, so they're taking bonus damage from the Bloodletters, so it just hurts so much to see that. We could see, that should be another dead Devastator squad here. No, heal comes in from the Apothecary with the Purification Rites, and the Force Commander makes it out alive as well. So support Force Commander build from Katla, going for the Sacred Standard and the Chainsword and Storm Shield. So you stay by your Tactical Marines. You give them the 50% range damage resistance, as well as the 25% range damage increase. Advanced healing coming out of the Apothecary, healing all of these Tactical Marine squads. And eventually that should overwhelm the single Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine squad. However, nice Blastmaster shot coming in, followed by one that just hits the wall. Chaos Space Marines about to lose their natural victory point, however, as the Tax move in to take it. Suddenly a rather quiet moment right here. We've got a Whirlwind, which I haven't actually seen the Whirlwind itself, but I've seen kind of its effect with many missiles coming out. You can hear the Plasma Overcharge from the Tech Marine against this Sorcerer. Sorcerer does tank it for a while, but eventually he does just retreat. And the Chaos Lord, what? Oh, it seems like he was bugging out for a second. Was not able to finish off the Plasma Devastator squad, so he's going for this Apothecary. Apothecary absolutely loses this fight eventually, especially because he is getting knocked down by the Blastmaster. The Chaos Lord is not. He probably goes down here. I think it's just been lost track of. Oh, no, has a heal just in time. That might just be enough to save it. Yes, wow. Anyway, who is in here that's about to die? That is the Tech Marine. Tech Marine up against melee Terminators in melee. Terminators are primarily a ranged unit, but they actually do quite well in melee. Blastmaster shot goes in again. Knocks over some Tactical Marines. Force Commander's all by himself right though. And what is going on? Oh, that's Drain Life. Drain Life, I believe. Mantle of Hate, yes, from the Chaos Lord. Cyclone missiles coming in, and the Force Commander will go down, but no Space Marine units around to benefit from that 40% increased damage that he offers. Meanwhile, the Tactical Marines just getting blown apart here by these Blastmasters. Space Marine Terminators get a heal. They've got more health than the Chaos Terminators, so we've got Chaos Terminators out from every single player. Ranged Terminators, not ranged, the opposite of ranged. Melee Terminators coming out for Katla, though. Scares off those Terminators from one of our Chaos players. I honestly don't even know which one, because they've all got Terminators. We are going to see Lightning Claws being upgraded on Tenso's Terminators, however. So they will rip those Chaos Terminators, sorry, those Space Marine Terminators apart. Lightning Claw Terminators for Draktan 2, and then Alpha Omega keeping with the ranged Terminators. And I'm generally a really big proponent of ranged Terminators for Chaos. I think they fill in a lot of... I think they... Very useful unit for Chaos in many cases. They fill in a lot of purposes and roles. But from what I'm looking at right now, this is actually one situation where I don't actually feel that the ranged Terminators would be in such a great position. We've just got lots of leveled plasma attack squads that are going to do lots of damage to the ranged Terminators while doing a reasonable job of being able to tank the damage that the ranged Terminators do. So a lot of damage already going in on those Lightning Claw Terminators, however. Nevertheless, this is primarily... Oh, wow. Actually, now it's still a ranged army that the Lightning Claw Terminators might have trouble really getting into range against. Yeah, I mean... I'm actually feeling like life's going to be pretty rough for the Chaos Terminators, whether they're ranged or not. And even more so now for the Lightning Claw Terminators with this Dreadnought out on the field. I don't know if every single Chaos player getting Terminators was really ideal. I think they needed more of a mix. One player with Terminators, another player with Predators or something. Chaos Terminators. Oh, but now we've got Lightning Claws on Katla's melee Terminators as well, and she's got more health going into this fight. The Lightning Claw Terminators from Katla also have For the Emperor put on them, so they're going to just straight up do more damage. These Lightning Claw Terminators going for the Whirlwind of all things. The Lightning Claw Terminators from the Tenso, if they don't have a teleport, they're 100% done. They teleport away just barely in time, and Tome of Subjugation will turn the Lightning Claw Terminators around, and they might actually wipe out the tack squad in the process. They do. What a nice play by Draktan using that Tome of Subjugation. So it's always one of the dangers of being a Space Marine player against a Sorcerer and going for Terminators, that you could have a Sorcerer player just get Tome of Subjugation, mind control your Terminators, and just turn them against you for a period of time. Or one of the old tactics that I've definitely been a frequent user of in the past is mind controlling Terminators so that you can suicide them. A little bit more difficult to do as time went on and the Tome of Subjugation was nerfed, but still possible, still a thing. Malignant Blindness used by the Tenso. Now, it's a double cap for our Space Marine players, but they don't have many victory points left, and we do have bigger armies from our Chaos players, and now we actually see that Predator coming out for one of those players. We got Alpha Omega. Unmarked Predator at the moment. Still a double cap for our Space Marine players, as this Predator by itself is not enough to take control of the victory point. Orb of the Omnissiah will go in, but it will be a complete miss, since that is a skill shot. It does not target like a Melt-A-Bomb. Chaos Heretics looks like they just barely get out of there alive. Okay, Terminators from Draktan have evened out the contested victory point at the moment. They're still going for the cap, and they just might be able to do this, as the Force Commander is in there, but he's battle-crying against Terminators who are immune to weapon knockback. So that's going to stay, for the moment, that victory point will go back into Chaos hands. Scouts moving up, but I'm kind of questioning to what purpose. My guess, these are Local Ghost Your Order. Looks like he's going to be looking for a back cap here. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? More fighting going on as we see the Land Raider Redeemer moving in for Overtly Gemerous. Oh, but another nice Blastmaster shot. My God, the Blastmasters from the Tenso have gotten so much value in this game. I mean, I guess we don't see, aside from the Assault Marines that Katla lost early in the game, we don't see any Assault Marines. So there's no, like, just easy jump unit onto the Noise Marines. Now, this late in the game, Assault Marines or even Vanguard veterans trying to jump on Noise Marines would be a little bit risky, because they would find themselves jumping into some Lightning Claw Terminators. But for all that time in Tier 2, when the Lightning Claw Terminators weren't around, that was definitely a time when those Blastmaster Noise Marines got a lot more value than they otherwise would have if there was even a single Assault Marine squad on the field. Okay, so the back cap did happen. Stun coming out from the customized Stormbolter onto one of the Terminator models, but the Terminators absolutely win this eventually. I would even say it's worth it for the Terminators to just get on the victory point and to not chase here. It would very much be ideal for them to... Okay, they're looking for kills here, though. With the Chains of Torment, they will catch Overtly Gemerous not retreating the Apothecary early enough. They did give a few victory points away in the process, and I mean, at this, you know, of course our Chaos players, they've actually got victory points to spare, but I mostly wanted to see that victory point captured earlier because the Space Marine players don't have many victory points to spare, and I wanted to see them put on that pressure against the Space Marine players. One Chaos Space Marine model will go down. We are going to see the Las Cannon Predator just try to drive away. It does have Blessing of the Omnissiah to provide it ongoing repairs, as we do see the Lightning Claw Terminators chasing after it. Those Lightning Claw Terminators do some damage, but I don't know if they do quite enough when the Blessing of the Omnissiah is active. Blessing of the Omnissiah is no longer active, or maybe it is. I thought it was stopped for some reason, but then it looked... Maybe just the indicator was going in and out. You know, all these Terminators, this is an Imperial Abyss. This is a double Imperial Abyss right by the Land Raider. Oh my god, that was actually... There are so many times when I see Imperial Abysses get no value. That was a massive value Imperial Abyss. The one that really got the value... I mean, I guess we could say the first one out of Draktan was almost like a zoning Imperial Abyss, but it kind of zoned them into the Tenso's Imperial Abyss. And just in case, most of you know how I can tell the difference between who actually used which one, and this one's from Alpha Omega. But basically the difference in the color. The blue Imperial Abyss is for Tzeentch, so that would be Draktan Sorcerer. Red Imperial Abyss is for Khorne, for Tenso. And the green Imperial Abyss is Nurgle for Alpha Omega's Plague Champion. So, I mean, a lot of you do know this at this point, but just in case we have anybody who's still newer and or just doesn't know that little factoid, that you can tell the difference. And that's an Elite Mod thing as well. Looks like, oh, I think that was a Terminator going down, but you know what also went down? The victory points for the Space Marine players. And that's the end of Game 3. Game number 4 will take place on, not Hades Waste, this is Quest Redemption, you can't fool me. Our first player is going to be Overtly Gemerous, playing as the Apothecary. Katla sticking to the Force Commander this time, but switching his outfit, and LocalghostUrOrders will be playing as the Tech Marine. Their opponents, Draktan staying on the Sorcerer, Alpha Omega will be playing as the Plague Champion, and the Tenso will be playing as the Chaos Lord, excuse me. So nice change of pace. You know what? I like this map. I like this map. We very much have a new age of Dawn of War 2 Elite mod, where these days I would say we're kind of the map pool is for 3v3 is kind of dominated by the darkly colored city palette maps, like, you know, the Katrin Purification Plants, the Estia Provinces, Angstrom Heights, Greystark Undercity. So nice for this tropical jungle that is Quest Redemption. I also like the rain effects. At any rate, Tactical Marines put a ton of damage into this Plague Champion, who's already down to about a quarter of his health. We are going to see Chaos Space Marines in green cover, though, but the Force Commander looking to tie them up in melee to prevent them from doing any damage. We're also going to see some Chaos Space Marines just getting some Tactical Marines coming in from the side. They've got a flanking angle on these Chaos Space Marines. These Chaos Space Marines also just going to be straight up overwhelmed for the moment. I was going to say, this was looking like someone here, Alpha Omega being doubled, but here is the Tenso also with some of the support. Force Commander just barely getting out of there alive, I think. Yes, indeed, as the Chaos Lord from the Tenso should be refocusing to the Scouts now, and yes, he does. Heretics, meanwhile, looking for a target to get into melee with, and ideally it would be this Tactical Marine squad right here on the power point. Okay, they do get into melee, they do activate Doom Blast, but Heretics, they're also pretty low on health just from being focus fired from so many different directions, and eventually they need to retreat. And I think they'll be lucky to get out of there alive. This fight going in so many different directions, as we do see the Chaos Lord re-engaging now with attacks. Chaos Lord, now he changes his target again for a different squad attacks. Looking to use Kill the Weak to knock them off the power. Another tack squad trying to retake it. Really trying to prioritize getting this power point up in the middle of this fight. It's been such a long, drawn-out fight. Now, this is also just kind of indicative of how the early game often goes in Dawn of War 2, or really early game in many games where, you know, we see these players with these long, drawn-out fights because at this stage in the game, the truth is that they can't do that much to hurt each other. There's, like, it's highly, highly unlikely you're going to see a squad loss here until we start seeing more upgrades coming in, more units coming in, until the game escalates. So that's why it was such a long, protracted fight here. And just as I say, we're not going to see many people going down. The Tech Marine does go down, but that's definitely a case where it went down, you know. It was definitely just like a drop micro from Local Ghost Your Orders. Doombolts will go in, seemingly mostly missing, I think. And the Chaos Lord, I think, does need to start being careful. Assault Marine's going to come in. I don't think this is a good time for them to jump. Like, don't jump. Don't. Yeah, they pull back. Finally, they realize this is not a time to jump in. As the Force Commander goes down. After such a long fight and 2 dead Space Marine commanders, we are going to see Chaos will finally win that engagement.
The enemy is capturing one of our strategic points. An ally has taken a victory point.
All right, so Overtly Gemerous putting some damage on these heretics. Don't think he has a shotgun blast ready. Something was already used, whether it was a shotgun blast or a grenade. Probably a shotgun blast, and the heretics eventually just got up. Heretics can probably Doom Blast again pretty soon, which I think they would do. Oh, but there's a grenade! Oh, no. Now they need to retreat. Okay. Luckily, that wasn't a situation where he lost track of them, so he was able to get them out of there alive. Tactical Marines for Overtly Gemerous going to be overwhelmed, but here comes the cavalry from Katla jumping in with her Assault Marines. Should see some heals coming in soon as well from the Apothecary, unless he doesn't have it ready. And where is he going? He's leaving. Ideally, I wanted to see him put a heal on one of those units, but eventually those Space Marine units were overwhelmed. Eventually. Now, it seems like our Chaos players... Oh, that's a heal! That's a heal! Oh, no, that's a heal revive. As we're seeing, it is indeed a thing, but unfortunately, Local Ghost Your Orders was not only not ready for it, but I think even if he was ready for it, I'm not sure if he could have gotten that Tech Marine out alive. There's just so much damage against him, so much that he would have had to retreat through. He probably would have just gone down all the same, even if he had retreated immediately. Scouts right here for Katla, just hanging out. Noise Marines attempting a generator bash, and they'll get half of one, actually a little less than half, before the Scouts get into, actually try to get into melee just to shut down the weapon so they can't do any more generator bashing to it. And eventually those Noise Marines will be forced off. Grenade in retreat, but it is a complete miss. What are these Scouts doing? Anyway, Chaos Space Marines solo bashing. They're about to get overwhelmed by the Chaos Space Marines. Just kidding, I meant the Tactical Marines. So they will need to get out of there alive. Yes, I know occasionally I mix things up, but hopefully I'm catching them a little bit more often this time around. Wow, it just seems like there are so many times when the Space Marine players just somehow nearly always seem to be finding themselves in fights where they're being outnumbered. It just seems to keep on happening. Our Chaos players always seem to have a numbers advantage just by virtue of positioning. I think the Apothecary there probably looking for another heal onto Local Ghost, but doesn't get it. So, in spite of that, it has been a victory point lead for the Space Marines for most of this game. We're soon going to see a double cap. Not something else, a double cap in favor of our Chaos players. Double Chaos Space Marines, though, don't have too much of an answer to this devastated Marine squad. That being said, Assault Marines, once again, it feels like Katla's just outnumbered here. Katla will be... One Assault Marine squad is gone. The second one uses a second jump to just to disrupt some of the units. But I think another model is going to go down unless we see it. Yeah, I'm not surprised the heal came in. I'm not even sure if the heal on the Assault Marines was worth it. He was just trying to... Or she... No, he... was just trying to stop a model from going down. Meanwhile, speaking of models going down, we're going to see that single entity, that Apothecary, going down right there. Now he can't heal anyone, but if the Force Commander can just force off these Chaos Space Marines, then he can just revive the Apothecary himself. I mean, it's been... The victory points are even, but to me, this... Oh, wow. The repurchase right there. I mean, I guess the Force Commander was forced off. The victory points are even, but so far this has felt like a really, really rough game for our Space Marine players.
Adding support structure.
All right, Apothecary moving back in, this time with the customized Stormbolter. Actually, he might have had that before. I'm not sure how long he's had that. Malignant Blindness has been used by the Tenso, probably as he looks to engage on all of these Tactical Marines, as well as these Scouts. Scouts use a Shotgun Blast, but does not catch every model, so there were still about 4 models from the Heretic squad that were in melee. This is a lost fight for Local Ghost Your Orders. Yeah, he realizes it. He might have been able to get a few Heretic models by staying in melee against them, but at the same time, he might have lost Tactical Marine models, which would have been a bigger loss for him. So, and he had no answer to the suppression.
Additional units have become available, Commander.
Tech Marine will also be suppressed, but now Tech Marine is the one drawing the Tenso into the firing arc of a setup team, and the Heretics will need to retreat out there. Tech Marine trying to move back out, but he's going to run into double Chaos Space Marines. Double Chaos Space Marines. What is Local Ghost Your Orders doing? This is a dead Tech Marine. Some of the shenanigans I felt died off a little bit in Game 3, but they're starting to come back in for Game 4. Oh no, the Tactical Marines, they're moving in. Okay, he's trying to rely on the Havocs to get the suppression on the Devastator. I was going to say, like, the double Chaos Space Marines can't really just approach head-on like that unless they've also got the Havoc here. But Grenade goes in to try to dislodge the Havoc. Havoc will lose a model for it. And eventually, this will still be a lost fight for the Tenso. Meanwhile, on this side, apparently a lot of things happening at this part of the map. We're going to see the Thunderhammer out of the Force Commander from Katla. Advanced Healing also coming out for Local Ghost. No, just kidding. I meant Overtly Gemerous. Just mixing up everybody today. But here is a big approach coming out of Draktan, and this time I've made sure exactly which player it is. But here is also going to be a Force Commander with Battle Cry, disrupting 3 squads at one time. If anything, he's going for the Heretics. I feel like it might just be worth his while to stay here with the Chaos Space Marines, but there will be the Robes of Torment, this time a very, very appropriate counter to that Force Commander, just making sure that if he gets trapped in the Robes of Torment, he really can't do anything for a while. Has to hope he's got some units nearby that can destroy the center mass of the Chains of Torment. Otherwise, he's just stuck in there eating some noise from the Noise Marines. Alright. Tactical Marines will be in the green cover, but the Bloodletters will get into melee with them. No, the Bloodletters will, of course, target the Devastator Marine Squad. Certainly a more choice target for them. Paves the way for the rest of the units to approach, and this might also be Local Ghost Your Orders losing yet another unit. Well, he mostly has been losing Tech Marine so far in this game, but does lose the Devastators in that engagement. Just not reacting in time. Here comes the double Zinch upgrade from the Tenso. So, I mean, those Bloodletters, they're absolutely brutal. Each one of those Hellblades, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure is 40 DPS power melee, which does mean 160 as a squad. And then power melee, going off memory here. Can't believe back in the day, I would definitely just know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's a 30% damage boost. Pretty sure. I'm actually like 99% sure. Power melee, 30% damage boost against heavy infantry armor. So when you're dealing with something like a Devastator, just such a small hit point pool to begin with, if you don't react in time when they get jumped on by Bloodletters, you are just going to lose the squad. Okay, we see the Thunderhammer Force Commander once again trapped by the Chains of Torment. One assault squad, however, does manage to jump past it, and they actually managed, this time they wait out the chains. And they just have so much support there that it's not a winning fight for Draktan in spite of the Chains of Torment. Shotgun Scouts moving in, probably now looking for a grenade on retreat. There's the grenade throw. What will it connect with? A little late, but still actually picks a model. Alright, Zinch Chaos Space Marines, double Zinch Chaos Space Marines are effective against everything except vehicles, so they are just going to be getting away from this vehicle. They get hit by a special attack. You know, on this side, it's going to be Bloodletters retreating out of there, going pretty fast. So are the Heretics. So our Space Marine players take back control of the contested victory point. They've got a Plasma Devastator set up to try to hold it for the time being.
An ally has taken a victory point.
Alright, meanwhile, suppression will go on to the Tactical Marines and the Apothecary, but so many threats on this Havoc that it will just be jumped on and eventually forced into retreating. Looks like, okay, one model did go down on the Havocs. Now, this was a Havoc squad that was jumped on by Assault Marines. So, and that still, even after slightly late reactions, went down to... Actually, I don't remember how the reactions were. About a third of its hit points. And Assault Marines really have, like, only a fraction of the damage. Well, 4 squad... Actually, I don't remember which one it was, whether it was the... Oh, it had to be the 3-model squad, so yeah. That Assault Marine really not doing nearly as much damage to a heavy armor setup team as something like the Bloodletters. Alright, Force Commander teleporting in. Unfortunately for the Tenso, he is actually having trouble finding some value out of his double Chaos Space Marines with this Force Commander continually just teleporting in and then activating Battle Cry. So ideally... Oh wait, those might not have been his. I'm not even sure anymore. But anyway, nevertheless, Force Commander definitely getting value. Alright, Flamer Attack. Tier 3 Flamer Attack. Looking for a Generator Bash, I suppose. Not gonna get it. Okay, maybe it will, if Katla comes in to support and stops the Havoc from doing anything. But the Bloodletters are still here and can still just rip apart the Tactical Marines. Oh, yeah. Overtly Gemerous is a long way from home. Probably just gonna be moving up here to see if he can find a decent retreat path. Does not have a heal ready. If anything, yeah, Draktan should be looking to, I think would have been looking to get up here. Oh, but doesn't quite have an easy path there. Advanced healing. Well, what's going on over here? Assault Marines moving around. It looks like they did get hit by some Doom Bolts. Plasma Devastator does not have enough to support it. And I'm surprised these units are still here. This is kind of silly. Let's move back over here, as it looks like our Chaos players looking to reclaim their natural. Chaos players now, early on, this looks like a rough start for our Space Marine players, but now they've managed to take control of much of the victory points. They've got a victory point lead. Oh, but this should be a dead Dreadnought. Will it? Will it? Blessing of the Omnissiah. Oh my god. The ranged Dreadnought. The ranged Chaos Dreadnought not doing enough damage. Here's... Oh, it does manage to actually finish it off. Orb of the Omnissiah goes down. Are we going to see a missile launcher upgrade on this tac squad? Otherwise, yeah, otherwise this... Okay, he's trying to get a Melt-A-Gun. We might see if he can finish off this Dreadnought, which is a long way from home. Draktan could teleport it out. Yes, I know this is Tenso's Dreadnought, but Draktan could still teleport it out. Looks like it's not necessary. Just there was no... The follow-up was just not ready for the Orb of the Omnissiah, and now it's actually just walking away just fine. Maybe it spoke too soon. I mean, it's being chased after by the Tech Marine. Tech Marine is faster than this Dreadnought. So it's still putting some pressure in, but here comes the support. Unfortunately, the support for the Dreadnought once again walks right into the firing arc of that bunker that has a Devastator Marine squad inside of it. And now the Dreadnought actually turns around, puts the pressure on the Tech Marine, and now there's no damage against the Dreadnought unless any one of these tac squads wants to get a missile launcher. But I mean, at this point, they're mostly just concerned about being overwhelmed. They'll actually draw the Chaos units into the firing arc of the Devastator Marine squad, and Tenso doesn't have a way to dislodge it. So he's getting the Armor of the Inferno. Like, it honestly feels like to me he's getting the Armor of the Inferno literally just to deal with this, because it was just executed very well against him. Scouts, though, in quite a lot of trouble, especially if Heretics unworship. Try to see if they can attack these Scouts as well. Scouts, I don't think they get wiped here, though. Meanwhile, the Dreadnought's in quite a lot of trouble. I think the Dreadnought goes down. No! There's some support for the Dreadnought in the form of the... Let the Galaxy Burn. knocking over those tactical marines before they can take a second shot, because one more shot would have finished off that dreadnought. Okay, big fight going down over here, I suppose, with the Terminators out on the field. Assault Terminators, Vanguard veterans for Katla as well, on top of an additional squad of Assault Marines. The Terminators, however, are pushing forward as there's not a whole lot of damage against them at the moment. This is Draktan. Draktan's Assault Marines are in, or rather Draktan's Chaos Space Marines are in retreat, and they do not have any marks. And as long as they don't have a mark, their damage against the Terminators is quite pitiful. Now, unfortunately for our Chaos players, wow, this game has... I guess to me, I say it's turned around, because to me it really felt like early on in the game our Space Marine players were kind of struggling. But it's definitely now our Chaos players struggling. Infiltrated Scouts, looking for something. We're gonna put armor. We're gonna put Let the Galaxy Burn on the bunker, which is not quite enough by itself to dislodge them. Does some damage. I mean, now Tenso is just looking to see if he can destroy it. Destroy the garrison. That's the eventual threat. So Devastator Marines getting out of the garrison. I don't even think they go down in retreat here. Yeah, I don't think they do. No upgraded weapon on the Chaos Sword. Not even a combi flamer. Oh man, sneaky decapping by local as well as Overtly Gemerous will result in a lost scout squad, but I mean, even just that time getting the decap just puts even more victory point pressure on our Chaos players when they've got so little to work with at this time. I mean, they've actually got a lot of stuff here, but they've got nothing on this victory point. Bloodletters have to phase into the warp to become invulnerable. We're going to see some kind of call-in right here. Probably some more Terminators. Plasma Dev Shot misses. So for the moment, the Chaos Terminators from Draktan do at least get the decap, but they're going to eat a huge plasma shot as well, and they might even go down from the follow-up shots from the Terminators. That does happen, and this is looking like it's pretty close to the end of the game, and by extension, the end of the series. Space Marines, I feel like Space Marines could literally just put a Terminator squad on that point, capture it, maybe zone with the rest of them. Oh, but we are going to see teleport in from the Terminators. So this is an attempt to try to execute the Terminators, but there's still a fair amount of support. Vanguard veterans jumping in, and I don't think there's enough damage against the Terminators, especially Draktan. His Chaos Space Marines are gone. I mean, he's would mostly be relying on Alpha Omega's Bloodletters here. So the Terminators are in trouble, but so are our Space Marine players, rather our Chaos players, because they don't have victory points. I think there's a decent chance they get the kill on these Terminators. Oh man, if they had even a single Chaos Space Marine squad upgraded with the Mark of Tzeentch, it would be a sure thing. They're still going to get it. I think it's so close. They've got 200 hit points left, but the Bloodletters are dying too. Oh my god. Oh my god. The Terminators are going to stay alive. The Sorcerer is not going to finish them off. The Sorcerer himself is going to go down. Maybe not. Looks like the Terminators might... No, that Terminator, he's inside the Land Raider. Of course, that's why he's safe. Plasma Dev Shot goes in. Unfortunately, mostly a friendly fire Plasma Dev Shot, but those units actually so tanky that they're actually even able to shrug it off. We've got another squad here. I can't even tell what units this is that's capturing the point. It is some Chaos Terminators from Alpha Omega. They even have Touch of Nurgle on them to try to help them secure that point. It does let them secure the point, but for how much longer? We even see Space Marine players potentially making a push for the Chaos Natural, so Tenso has to defend this. He is committed to defending it, and it doesn't even look like Local Ghost is being that aggressive with a push. They've got no time here. They need something to get that off the point, and the autocannon Havoc proving not to be enough. No knockback. And then these Sternguard veterans, I think they had And They Shall Know No Fear active, so they weren't even taking that much damage. There needs to be a Chaos unit on this victory point now. And I'm not sure how much longer it can stay there. Okay, the Sorcerer will get on it, but he's going to be knocked off by the Plasma. So will the Terminators. Oh no, this is it. That is the end of the series. Our GGs are called, and that will be it. Quite a sloppy series, if I must say so, but I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night.